The Echoes of the Infinite mini set is here, which means it is time for 15 wacky and fun ideas for day one Standard Hearthstone. Now, there will be a wide variety of different decks. You should be able to find something no matter what type of player you are. But mainly on this channel, I do a lot of combo decks, so there's going to be a good chunk of those. Now, let's start off with the Demon Hunter lists. The first one is going to be murozond Demon Hunter. The idea here is essentially we can use End Time murozond, the brand new legendary, to basically be used in combination with Doomsday Prepper as a way to make yourself immune. So it doesn't matter if you are giving your opponents 2 turns in a row, since you're going to be immune until your next turn. Thus, making it aware you can flood the board with a bunch of minions, and hopefully your opponent doesn't have a way to deal with it, or just be able to survive for an additional turn. And we're also going to be using Zai as a way to get an additional copy of the combo if we really want to, or just use things like Spirit Peddler and Furious Fellbats in order to swarm the board with a bunch of cheap cost minions. The second Demon Hunter list that we are going to be looking at is going to be chronikar Demon Hunter, where we're essentially going to be trying to use this brand new legendary that has the Battle Cry, give your hero +3 attack this turn, the next turn, and the turn after. Trying to stack this as much as humanly possible, for things like Champions of Azeroth to hopefully get Bran, or just be able to loop it with Zai and Youthful Brewmaster. And we are also going to be using Ravaged Fellhound in combination with Blob of Tar as a way to control the board state until late game, so we can just make full advantage of it without having to worry about our opponent hitting our face. Now, the second class we're going to be talking about is going to be DK. The first DK list that we're going to be looking at is Home Render OTK DK. The idea behind this is we are going to be using the brand new Wicked Blight Spawn that has the death rattle of, if you already have a weapon equipped, and give the weapon +2 attack, which means if you can stack this up multiple times on a foam render, you will be able to have a humongous weapon that most opponents won't be able to deal with. And the corpse explosions in this list will make it easy for you to hit your opponent's face with something that's going to hit very absurd heights really, really quickly, since we have other combo cards such as Umbra to duplicate the death rattle of this, or the Awakener of Souls, or even the Eternal Layovers, making this one a real fun one if you are a fan of wacky combos with a little bit of a control twist. The other DK list we have here is going to be Imbue DK. The new hero power for Imbue DK is get the first undead minion you play plus whatever attack, which means you can use this in combination with things like Darkthrone Quilter as a way to give it a certain amount of attack. Thus, we're going to be doing a weird hodgepodge mess of imbue and hand buff in order to get this as high as humanly possible. Then using things like poison breath to make the quilter basically act as an AoE removal tool while also doing a bunch of damage to our opponent's face. Now for Druid, first one is going to be Low Druid, using the brand new card Acceleration Aura as a way to give yourself a way to ramp up even quicker in a low Druid style list. Essentially, the game plan here is we're going to be trying to ramp up so we can slam down low as quickly as possible. We also have Corona in the list as a way to discount the low maybe to 1 mana if we get lucky with a wave shaping. Overall, this deck should be really, really powerful once we get our key minions online, and we have a lot of ways to make full advantage of the 5 cost minions we'll get off of low. The other druid list we have is going to be Quest Treant Druid. The idea behind this, we are going to be using Splittered Reality as the brand new win condition of this deck. And we're also going to be running a bunch of cards that can theoretically generate this card and all the previous Treant support that is currently in Standard. The reason why we're using the Quest is that's just an easy way to buff the minions up from a 2/2 to a 4/4, which makes them a little bit harder for our opponents to deal with, and also using things like Grove Shaper as a way to swarm the board with a bunch of Treants and ways to essentially buff up these Splintered Realities. Hopefully, the Splintered Realities become humongous giants that will overwhelm most opponents. Now for Hunter, we got End Time Hunter, centered around the brand new quest that Hunter and Warlock has, where it has the quest to fill your hand, then empty it, giving you the reward of TikTok, which has the battle cry of making you draw until your hand is full, and the death rattle of making your opponent's hand empty. Now, you might be wondering, how are we going to easily abuse a card like this in Hunter? Well, we can easily fill up our hand and empty our hand through things like King Makwa and then Monkey Business. This will give us the quest reward really, really quickly, and then we can turn the quest reward as a way to mill out our opponent using both a prize vendor and Bringer Umbra to make them draw cards, then discard their hand and rinse and repeat, and get additional copies of the TikTok off of Police, making it even more annoying for our opponent to deal with, essentially making a weird mill style of hunter list. For mage, we got small spell mage centered around the new fragment of nothing. This draws you a card whenever you cast a spell on a minion, making it really potent in combination with the Eternal Firebolt, which is also a new card, or through your Divine Bruise. This means we can easily combo this out through the stereotypical Ryla tourist mage lists that have existed previously in the past, using Arkwing Pilot as our big win condition to take full advantage of all the cheap spells we have in this list. For Paladin, we have Infinite Aura Paladin using the brand new Aura of Acceleration Aura as a way to give us a little bit of additional ramp in a class that historically doesn't have it, but in a deck that really needed it since it runs a lot of high cost cards. This allows us to get out our Goblin of Tomorrow a little bit quicker, and also theoretically, with Cardboard Golem, we can go infinite thanks to Shelter Sill, making it where we can extend the ramp permanently until the end of the game, or our spell that we'll be getting off of Ursul till the end of the game. Now for Priest, we got Quest Priest, featuring the brand new card of Voodoo Totem, which will act as a way to generate additional shadow spells that we would normally not have access to in Priest, making it where you don't have to run some of the more bad or questionable shadow spells that this deck historically has, and only having to run the key ones of a Nightshade Tea, Thrive in the Shadows, and Resuscitate. We also do have the Imbue package in here to get additional holy spells or shadow spells, and things like Intertwined Fate as a way to get additional copies of key cards such as Umbra in this list. The first rogue list we got here is Omen of the End Rogue. The idea behind this is we are going to be basically playing Cycle Rogue as a way to cycle through our entire deck. So we can slam down Omen of the End and mill our opponent's top 5 cards of their deck multiple times in a row, since we're going to be bouncing them all back, and slam down and kill Jaden once they have no resources left in their deck, to then give us basically an infinite pool of minions to overwhelm our opponent that way. The other rogue list we have is going to be Imbue Rogue. This is going to be centered around the new Imbue package for Rogue. And if you don't know what it does, it gives you a random minion from another class that is reduced by the amount of times that you have imbued your hero power. And since I have tried to do something like this in the past, even before we had imbue hero power, this should be a pretty potent deck, since you can get a lot of advantage off of Morlone, or even just Tess, since she'll replay all the minions that you got off of your hero power. For Shaman, we got a little bit more of a goofy list. This is going to be Rewind Shaman, centered around the brand new legendary of Morchi. This allows you to keep all the rewind possibilities whenever you slam down a rewind card while she's on the board. It also allows you to discover a rewind card from another class. So if you triple this up with Shutterblock, you will be getting a lot of advantage that way. However, most of the rewind cards do generate a bunch of minions on the board, so you should theoretically be able to overwhelm your opponent with all the minions that you get off of things like Mr. Clocksworth. For Warlock, we have something very similar to our Hunter list, centered around End Time, but we're going to be using Druid of Thorns as a way to get infinite copies of our mill our opponent's hand effect off of the quest reward of At the End Times. This will allow us to essentially make our opponent have no resources ever to deal with the Druid of Thorns, and also slowly get rid of their deck turn after turn, making them rage quit while we're establishing additional armor thanks to Plated Beetle. And now for the final deck, this is going to be OTK Warrior, centered around the brand new card of Time Twist Seer. This is going to be an easy minion to actually trigger the damage ability since we have Sanguine Depths. Then, if both of our seers are damaged, we can then easily use things like either a Elise location or Nabula the Watcher in order to get additional copies, making it where we can then use all of these very cheap direct damaging spells to OTK our opponent. This should be fun. I don't know if this is going to be the most meta variant of this list, but there's going to be a lot of people trying something out like this week one. All right, so those are all the decks that I came up with for Echoes of the Infinite. Let me know down below which one you're most interested in trying out. Honestly speaking, most of these lists will probably end up on the channel. It's just a matter of time. But until next time, if you want to help out the channel a little bit more, you can always join one of the 3 tiers of channel memberships, similar to both Daniel Nascimento and Ruben. But if you can't afford to do that, you can always leave a like, comment, subscribing, turn on the notification button, or use the new hype button to help out the channel just as much. But until next time,